So, Saunteel, I'm going to start off by saying in 2 minutes, for Detroiters who don't know you, and I know a lot of Detroiters do know you and know your history, tell us who you are.
I'm Saunteel Jenkins, a lifelong Detroiter who has spent my adult life serving the city. I'm a social worker. I got my bachelor's and master's from Wayne State University, and I've served as a director of a treatment center for men fighting addiction and homelessness. I served as a city council member and a president of city council during the toughest economic times in this city's history. And I've served as a CEO at the Heat and Warmth Fund, or THAW, and I've kept thousands and tens of thousands of families healthy, safe, and warm with heat, electricity, and water. I'm somebody who is dedicated to this city and the betterment of our city.
Beautiful. Why do you want to be the next mayor of Detroit, and what qualifies you to lead the city right now, especially at such a critical time in this city's future?
We've made so much progress, but where we are in this city is still very fragile. And it's critical that our next mayor be prepared on day one. And that's why I'm running, because I believe I am the most qualified and most prepared to hit the ground running on day one. I've served as a CEO for over a decade, and the mayor is the CEO of the city. I served on the city's legislative body, so I understand what it is to draft an ordinance, pass an ordinance, and more importantly, implement an ordinance as the CEO. And I've served on the ground fighting for the most vulnerable Detroiters in for-profit, nonprofit, education, and government. So I'm prepared day one.
Tell me this, when Detroiters look at you, what's the biggest difference between your new administration, if you're elected mayor, and what Mayor Duggan has done for the last 14 years?
There will be a much greater focus on neighborhoods, and our next mayor will be facing a different reality from our current mayor. You know, our current mayor came in as we were exiting the bankruptcy, which means that our liabilities, the majority of our debt was gone. We had grand bargain payments, which was extra revenue coming to the city. Pension payments had been delayed, so that was a liability that we didn't have to worry about for 10 years. And then we got over $900 million in ARPA and CARES dollars that came to the city. So we had a lot of great benefits that will not be in place for the next mayor. So the next mayor will have to be very fiscally astute and focused on our revenues and our liabilities to ensure that we don't go backwards.
Wow, I didn't, okay. Let's talk about corruption for a second, because corruption in the past, which you saw firsthand, damaged the city, I mean, harshly. What systems will you put in place if you're elected mayor to ensure transparency and that you have the public's trust?
Yes, that's so important. And one of the things that I have talked about throughout this campaign is creating a strategic master plan throughout the city in each of the 7 districts, and doing that in partnership with residents and businesses, both small and large, in the city. And this plan would create transparency, because we all know what's coming to District 1, to District 4, to District 5. But also, it's leadership sets the tone, right? And I am proud to say that I have led with transparency, high integrity, and ethics my entire life, and that would not change if I were mayor.
Beautiful. Can we talk about education for a second? And I know the mayor of Detroit doesn't lead DPSCD or our charter schools. However, how will you ensure families who entrust you as the new mayor that our schools will go forward, and families can believe that their kids will get a good education if they're in the city of Detroit?
Thank you for asking the question, because even though the mayor doesn't control the schools, it's so important that we have a strong school system. We can't truly have a strong city without strong schools that people trust sending their kids to. So as mayor, I would be in a really strong partnership with the schools. I would have the superintendent, school board members on speed dial, first of all. But also, when we talk about master planning, we can't plan for neighborhoods without understanding the plan for education and schools, and I would build that plan around creating safe places and spaces for school kids and schools.
How would you bridge the deep divides that exist right now between downtown and the neighborhoods and the residents who have lasted the test of time, staying in Detroit, and then the newcomers who are coming in now and buying up homes and seeing the prices of homes rise in the city?
Yes, I think it's so important. One of the things that I believe is the big difference for people when they talk about gentrification versus growth, everybody wants growth. Nobody says, I don't want to grow. People say, I don't want gentrification because that's when people are left out of the process, right? And it's happening to them, not with them. I want to be a mayor where growth happens with the people who've been here and they've stuck it out and stayed. And that's why that community planning process is so important.
If you are elected mayor, how will you ensure equity when it comes to city contracts, hiring, and services, especially for Black and brown communities?
It, again, so important, right? And it's making sure that our businesses who are here, who are working and hiring Detroiters, have an equal opportunity to do the work. And if they are too small for a big city contractor job, then they'll partner with a larger firm because that's how you learn and grow, right? Businesses learn and grow the same way people do. People have mentors. We can partner smaller businesses with larger businesses so that they can understand and grow their capacity.
Let's talk about gun violence for a second, especially among the youth in the city of Detroit. We still keep seeing kids getting gunned down in the city of Detroit. How will you address that if you're elected mayor?
I think you know this issue is personal to me. I lost my 14-year-old brother to gun violence in 1991. In 91, we stopped watching the news because they talked about my brother so much for weeks on end because it was such an unusual incident. And today it happens so much that it's a one-day story. That's a tragedy, and that's a failure of adults. So when we talk about safety, we got to talk about prevention. We have to talk about safe spaces between the hours of 3 p.m. and 8 p.m., which are the most dangerous hours for children in our community. And we have to make sure children know that they have hope and a future and that we're carving out that pathway for them.
How will you address blight, abandoned properties, and basic city services in the neighborhoods? And I know Mayor Duggan has done a lot with our lights. He's gotten rid of a lot of blight in the city of Detroit, but there's still a lot of blight left.
Yes, there is. And I give Mayor Duggan credit for the blight removal that he's been able to do. But you're right, we still have a lot of work to do. So we have to continue the plans that are working, right? But we also have to make sure that property owners, whether they are individual property owners or investment owners, are taking care of their property. We have to make sure that our land bank is being responsible with land bank properties and taking care of those properties and hold everyone accountable equally.
I want you to look into the camera if you can, and I want you to think about that single mom or that single dad living on the east side, trying to keep their kids safe, trying to keep groceries in the refrigerator and their lights on. What are you offering them if they elect you their mayor?
I see you. I've spent the majority of my life working on your behalf. So what I offer you is a mayor who understands, in part because I've been through it, but also because of the fact that I've been through it. I've lived in a house with no lights. I know what that feels like. It took me 9 years to finish undergrad because I had to work while I was in school. I lost my baby brother to gun violence, so I know what you're going through, and I'm here, I made it. So I know that you can make it too, and in me you would have a mayor who sees you, who understands you, and who will be fighting on your behalf every day that I have breath.
Final thoughts. If you could accomplish just one thing in your first year that would define your legacy, what would it be and why?
It would be that stronger partnership with schools, because schools, though the mayor does not control them, like our schools are buildings with our future inside. And there is no way we can make this city stronger if people don't trust and believe in what we're doing in our schools.
Oh. Anything else you want to add?
That I would be ready and so proud to serve Detroit on day one. Yeah. There is one more thing I want to add, which is part of why I decided to do this, right, is after going through my battle with breast cancer and going through the soul searching of what is my highest and best purpose. You know, this is what I believe it is. And I believe that because God gave me a second chance, it's my responsibility to just leave it all on the field and do everything that I can to make life better for as many people as possible. And this is the way I can do that.